Isaiah 33:15 through 16. Micah reduced them to three, Micah 6, verse 8. And Isaiah again reduced them to two,
And
as
Jesus
it
the
is
one.
said, hang on, and keep judgment and do righteousness, Isaiah 66, 1. Then Amos reduced them to one, seek me and live. However, the rabbis had a discussion on that, saying that it was ambiguous. So, so they said, so then they said, then they said, but Habakkuk said, the just shall live by faith. So notice what the rabbis did. They recognized that the law, the Tanakh, contains 613 laws, and that whole 613 law could be reduced to one law, which is the just shall live by faith. The Talmudic rabbis, the Tanaim, and the Amoraim came to the same conclusion that Paul did centuries earlier. Now I know that you believe in the oral tradition, and Paul is supporting the rabbinical tradition, but when it comes to the historical record, Paul said that first. So the rabbis in the Mishnah are agreeing with Paul.
Faith itself is a law. It's understood as the first of the 10 commandments. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, i.e., believe in me. To believe in God is part of the law.
Right. But the point that I'm trying to make is, why is there such a dichotomy between what Judaism teaches? And I know, Rabbi, I talked to you the other day and you said that you're not, part of the mainline rabbinical tradition. But why would there be such a dichotomy between the two communities if they came to the same conclusion about the law?
Well, there isn't in terms of the Mishnah. The Mishnah or the Talmud never talks about Christianity. So there is no war between the rabbis in the Mishnah and Paul. As a matter of fact, if Paul has any great ideas, it's because he was a Pharisee and he studied with the rabbis. So I don't think there's a war between rabbinic Judaism and Christianity. I mean,
I didn't say a war.
Okay.
I said a disjunction. Like, you don't look at Christianity and Judaism as being the same faiths.
I disagree. I think virtually everything Christian appears somewhere in rabbinic literature. The vast majority of Jews don't believe Jesus is the Messiah for whatever reason. I don't as well. But that doesn't mean it's completely foreign. I don't know why a rabbi would have a problem saying that faith is extremely important. The Torah itself doesn't make a distinction because everything is bundled into a command. That means, or something God expects us to do, something that's prescriptive. And having faith or believing that God is true and his message is true, that's clearly fundamental.
What I'm saying is I have been kicked out of Jewish room because I brought this up.
Right.
Now I study the Talmud, and I was amazed years ago when I came across this. I was like, wow, these rabbis came to the same conclusion that Paul did. Right. So what's why is there this
I apologize for anyone who may have kicked you out. Just because.
But like I said, no, you're a little bit different. You do engage Christians. These guys were not willing to listen to anything I had to say, and it's reading directly from.
It's xenophobia. That's what it is. The fear of the unknown. It's not. Most Jews, unfortunately, don't talk to many people who disagree with them much, so they wouldn't know how to respond. But I'm pretty sure counter-missionary rabbis, Jews for Judaism type of guys, won't deny the fact that faith is a big component in the life of a Jew.
What are you? You conservative or Orthodox?
I'm Orthodox.
Okay.
And I'm more of a rationalist.
Yeah, I know. But you make yourself available because, as I said, I first heard of you when I seen you on some shows with Dr. Michael Brown. Yeah, I was able to.
I proselytize, so then I stand out.
I know. You make enemies. You make enemies. But what's so funny is when you go back into Second Temple Judaism, you do see proselytization taking place.
The New Testament itself mentions Pharisees traveling land and sea to make a single proselyte. Although rabbinic Jews nowadays are really not an extension of the Pharisees. In the Talmud, there isn't one rabbi in the Talmud who identifies as a Pharisee. Fine, I mean, they existed for sure.
Right. So the Hallel, which is sung after the Seder?
Right, Hallel.
Okay. So that's Psalm 113 through 118, right? And it includes Psalm 117, which is clearly written to Gentiles.
I don't think the rabbis in the Talmud had an issue proselytizing. This whole attitude towards not encouraging people to become Jewish is post-Talmudic. I mean, I believe that the rabbis in the Talmud did proselytize. Now,
yeah, they did, but they're kind of wishy-washy on it. Some tractates have them claiming that even if they're proselytes, they're second-class citizens. You have statements where a Gentile who studies the Torah is equal to the high priest. You know, they're kind of like, you know, there's nothing monolithic about it that's straightforward. It's kind of like they're all over the place.
Well, that's the whole Talmud to begin with. And there's not really much that's monolithic there, but there's different segments of the Talmud. There's portions of it that only had to do with the land of Israel, and that's primarily what appears in the Mishnah. They're careful who they consider a Jew, just because if someone doesn't formally accept the covenant, it's wrong to judge them by that covenant just because there's a legal system that'll put you to death for breaking the Sabbath. So, I mean, they don't just take that lightly. If someone identifies with Israel, they have to go through a certain procedure of conversion and checks and balances, just because it's almost like acquiring citizenship. But yeah, I mean, I wish it was clearer, and I wish there aren't too many negative things about converts themselves. There are more negative things about Gentiles, but Gentiles back then were true barbarians. Right? And we're not talking about the believers in Jesus or Muhammad, which is people who have been sensitized with the Bible. We're talking about people who sacrifice to their gods, in many cases, even humans.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Rabbi, I have a question for you. If a person converts according to the Reformed Jew, would he be accepted as a citizen of the state of Israel?
Yes.
Do you live in Israel?
No, but I lived in Israel for 5 years, and I converted to Judaism over 20 years ago, and I moved to Israel, but I converted Orthodox. But I know the procedure.
Okay. You said you converted to Orthodox. I did not ask you about Orthodox. I asked you to convert based on the Reform Jews.
Right. But I know the laws of who's accepted and who's not. So in Israel, there's two bodies that will accept you to make Aliyah. One is called the Sochnut, which is the Jewish agency, and they're the ones who accept conservative and reform conversions. Although the Rabbanut, which is the Orthodox body, only accepts conversions from around 29 rabbis in America. They have a list called the team list. You know, so Orthodox conversions go through the Rabbanut, while Reform and conservative conversions go by the state, by the Jewish agency. I mean, to the point that Israel gives you citizenship if your father's Jewish. A Reform convert at least had to study for like 6 to 8 months in order to convert. They let people move to the land of Israel who, according to Jewish law, aren't even Jewish. It shows that it's their policy of who gets in is much looser.
Can you repeat the last statement?
The state of Israel grants the right of return to people who even have a Jewish father and not a Jewish mother. That means that according to Jewish law, those people are Gentiles. So they can actually enter and receive free citizenship in the land of Israel. How much more will they not deny a Reform or conservative convert?
Okay, what is the reason behind that?
Well, it's because Israel wasn't founded as a religious country. It was founded as a socialist, atheistical enclave, unfortunately. And the vast
Wait a second. Where did you come up with this idea? Who started the idea of this whole thing?
Of what, of Israel?
Theodor Herzl, right?
Right. He was an atheist.
He was a Zionist.
No, correct. He was a Zionist, but he was an atheist.
So I'm not gonna go into this argument because there is no such thing called a Jewish atheist. It's either you are a Jew or you're not.
So okay. I agree with you, and every Orthodox person will agree with you.
Now, if you tell me you are an Israeli and atheist, I would say yes, I agree with you. But to tell me I'm a Jew atheist, I'm a Jew agnostic, I'm a Jew this, that's an oxymoronic statement.
It's hard for a Christian and a Muslim to understand. And also, Orthodox Jews, we agree with you that in order to truly be Jewish or part of Israel, you have to be Torah observant. However, if you have a Jewish mother, that's what makes you legally Jewish. That doesn't mean that you're spiritually Jewish or in a covenant with God.
So what does the mother give
Of
you?
the court.
When you say if you have mother Jewish, what does the mother give you?
I don't believe she gives you anything spiritually, but the court had to have a system to determine who is born into the system. For example, even in Islam, you could be born a Muslim. Right?
We're not talking about Islam. Islam is a completely different issue. Because Muslims,
system.
they follow the Father. Every single human being on this earth follows the Father. They go by the Father's nationality, except Jews go by the mother. When I ask you, what is your name? You go, Rabbi, son of, and you give me your mother's name. You don't give me your father's name.
No, that's not true, actually. In Judaism, you never give the mother's name. Only if you're sick and what's called the Mishaberach, then you give your mother's name.
You lived in Israel 5 years. I grew up there. I was born there.
And you never give the mother's name. When you convert, you're what? You're Ben Avraham, right? I mean, you're not Ben Sarah. Always by the
But you're
father's
following
name.
the mother. For what reason?
No,
What does the mother give you?
We follow both.
Like you said, you said you're a Jew by the mother. Some consider you Jew by the father. Why would you be considered Jew by the mother?
According to Judaism, it's always by the mother.
Can you show me that biblically?
No, it's not biblical because it's rabbinic. Biblically, tribal lineage travels through the father.
Bro, the mother does not give lineage.
I just said that tribal lineage travels only to the father. I mean, this is a fact.
So
clearly.
why would you be considered Jew because of your mother? What is the reason behind it?
So the understanding is that if you have a Jewish father but not a Jewish mother, then the court developed it. The court. It's not in the Bible like this, but the Bible never says that it's by the mother. The Bible only says tribal lineage is through the father. The rabbis, the court, determined that the right to be judged like an Israelite would be traveled by the mother. I mean, it's what makes you legally culpable here versus what makes you tribally Jewish. I mean, it's not the same thing. I'm not making this up. I mean, this is what Judaism teaches.
I understand it. To you, you believe in it, good for you. But to me, it doesn't make sense.
And what
I get upset about is that when you guys try to push this and make people believe in it, and certain group of people start supporting that idea, and even though they're not Jews, okay, now you're entitled to believe what you choose to believe in. I have no problem with it. But to come and tell me this is the truth and what you tell me is wrong, no, sir, unless if you can prove it to me. Now, again, you said the court decided that.
Correct.
Is the court God?
No, but the Torah, God himself gave the court authority in Deuteronomy chapter 17.
Okay, let's go to that. When you say you're a Jew, what does that mean?
The word Jew really doesn't mean anything. It means that you're an Israelite in a covenant with God. Colloquially, we say Jew because the last kingdom standing, Israelite kingdom standing, was the kingdom of Judah. But
okay, now here you just said it. The term Jew did not exist till the 18th century. Before the 18th century, if you say somebody you're Jew, that's considered to be an insult.
That's not true. It appears in the
Your
Bible.
Hebrew books don't. There is no word called Jew. The term is Yahudim, Yahudi.
Yeah, but that's what that means.
Okay, what does that refer to?
Jew is English.
Yeah.
Sir,
Book of
Esther, I don't go by the English.
Is called a Jew.
Bro, I don't go by English. I go by the source because the English it can be given 10,000 meanings. I go as it was original. The term Yahudi, Yahudim, refers to what or to who?
Okay. It refers to two different things. Okay. It could refer to a descendant of Judah or a resident of the kingdom of Judah, because you could be from the tribe of Benjamin and still be called a Jew, like Mordecai was called a Jew.
Or the tribe of Judah.
That's what I said.
No. You said the descendant. Descendant and tribe are two different things.
No, it's the same thing.
No, sir. Go look at the definition of a tribe.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Go look at the definition of the word tribe.
Fine.
Tribe
I
does
mean,
not mean descendant.
okay. You're a descendant from Judah.
A
Fine.
tribe can.
Let me ask you this question. What point are you trying to make?
I'm trying to understand how can a Jew tell me I'm ethnically Jew when the term Jew refers to a person's name who descendants from Israel, whom originally his name is Jacob, who descended from Abraham, and Abraham was not a Jew ethnically.
Don't get stuck on that word Jew. I said Israel. I said colloquially, Jew nowadays means nothing. It was the last kingdom standing in Israel, and it encompassed Benjamin, the tribe of Simon, and the Levites. So they were Jews, even though they were from other tribes back then. And like I said, in the book of Esther, it calls Mordecai, who was from the tribe of Benjamin, it calls him a Jew. So
yes, because he lived in the kingdom of Judah.
This was in Persia.
Well, if you just follow my line of questioning, we can get an answer. But if you're going to jump all over, we're not going to go nowhere.
Okay.
So again, the term Yehudi refers to one of three things. Either the descendants of Yehuda, the tribe of Yehuda. The tribe would have descendants of Yehuda and would have people outside Yehuda's descendants. It could be anybody in that area who joined the group under the leadership of Yehuda. So he becomes part of the tribe of Yehuda. He could be Levite, who could be a Greek, he could be a Roman, he could be anybody.
You're missing one more thing it represents.
What? What is that?
It means one who praises or worships God also. You know, so
what? That's the name.
That's the descriptive term of what Yehudi actually means. This is why.
It's a name. It's a name.
Yeah, Rabbi, that was a very bad point. That was not helpful to you at all.
That's a descriptive term for one who praises God.
I mean, but what was the point of that? Because that can be applied to like so many different groups. I mean, that was just silly.
But not from a Jewish perspective. From a Jewish perspective, the only group that worships God are nowadays what we call Jews.
So what do we worship?
So what was the point of you making?
Are called themselves Jews are secular Jews.
Religious Jews do not consider secular Jews as being in any covenant with God. I mean, these are people who may be halachic Israelites. However, he said, this is what Yehudi means. But he failed to mention what the descriptive term actually
I was
means.
not referring to I was not referring to what the name itself means. I'm using the term. The term Yehudi refers to the descendants of. Bro, I'm referring to the descendants of Yehuda, or the tribe of Yehuda, or people who lived in the region or the kingdom of Yehuda. That's exactly what I said,
correct?
Those three can be called Yehudim. Okay. So now you as a Jew, when I don't know you personally, or I don't know exactly how you think, because I think this is the first or second time I speak to you or I hear you. But when you hear a Jew tells me I'm ethnically Jew, how can you be ethnically Jew when the term Yehudi or ethnically Yehudi, how can be you ethnically Yehudi when the word Yehudi refers to a name? It does not refer to bloodline. So calling yourself rabbi, can I call myself ethnically rabbi?
No.
Because I come from your tribe?
Hold on. You just acknowledged that Yehudi doesn't necessarily mean that you come from the tribe of Judah. It was the last Israelite kingdom standing
Yehudim,
in the region.
Yehudim
so that means
refer the descendants, the family of Yehuda, the tribe of Yehuda, people who lived in the area.
Correct.
Any of those three, you can call them Yehudim. That does not mean they're ethnically Yehudi.
That means any Jew walking around today, unless he converted into the system, traces his lineage or her lineage back to that region of the land. This is why they could properly call themselves Jews.
So a Greek who lived on that land during the time, he would be called Yehudi because he was part of the kingdom.
If they were religious Israelites?
There is no ifs, buddy. There is no ifs. Because if you live under the kingdom...
It's a silly argument. So Romans lived there also. Clearly Romans called the religious inhabitants who were Israelites Judeans. I don't know what your point is.
Bro,
Israelites
my
walking
point-
around
let-
today identify
you live-
with the
Do
last
you live in
kingdom.
the U.S.? Do you live
Yes,
in the
I do.
USA?
Yes.
Okay. Let's, for argument's sake, we say you live in California. I call you Californian. Does that mean you're American?
If you're a
Again,
Roman
I'm asking
Catholic,
you
hold on one
I'm
second.
asking you a
If
specific
you're a Roman
question.
Catholic and you live in Florida, you could still properly identify as
Sir,
Roman Catholic.
listen to what I asked you. If you are living in California and I said you are Californian, does that mean you're American?
That's not a religious identity. There's Jews who
Again,
live in
I'm
Argentina.
asking you a
There's Jews who live all over the
Answer
place.
question,
All right.
yes or no. If you're living in California and I call you a Californian, does that mean you're American?
The argument doesn't make sense because you're not.
You're running from the answer. Just answer the question.
It's
Are
a
you
silly
called
question.
American
What-
or you're not?
Is there
It's not a religious
succinct way
identity.
to just
It's
to
it's a
to
religious
phrase it?
ethnicity. It's a religious ethnicity. That's it.
A religious ethnicity.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just like
Let me
there
jump-
are Armenian Christians who live in California who still identify as Armenian Christians or Greek Orthodox Christians or Roman Catholics. I mean, I don't know
Bro,
why.
that has
It's
nothing to
silly.
do with their ethnicity. When
it's
when
virtually
I say I'm
identical.
Armenian, when I say I'm Armenian. There's bloodline to call me Armenian.
Religiously
I'm from
Armenian.
Armenia. But
Religiously Armenian.
you
Hold
you
on.
just said you
No,
converted to you just said you converted to
Correct.
Judaism.
Right.
What were you before you converted?
Christian.
So are you a Jew now?
Yes.
You're a liar. You're American.
Someone
Well-
could be fully American and fully Jewish. It's not a non sequitur. And I don't know why it's hard for you to understand. And I think
Because there is no such thing called bloodline Judaism. Jew.
no one is claiming bloodline
Then there's
Judaism.
no
Someone
such thing
could-
called lineage. There's no such thing called
Oh my
ethnic
gosh.
Jew.
In Judaism, one could convert into the belief system. There's converts in the Torah itself. So if someone converts, they're part of that religion. It's a religious ethnicity as well. Still
Rabbi,
claimed to be
but
partially Roman.
at this point, it's really, I think it's just a religion. I mean, all your genealogies are
Oh, that's
gone.
fine. We're talking about
Yeah.
semantics here. Now, clearly, people pay tribute to the fact, if they're not converted to Judaism, that they are descendants of people who lived in the kingdom of Judah. That's it.
So they
Okay,
said
let
who
me-
lived in the kingdom of Judah could be a Greek.
Hang on, dude? Hang on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read definition of a Jew from the Blackwell Dictionary of Judaica. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, Rabbi.
I'm not familiar with the Blackwell version, but go ahead. Yes.
It's Rabbi Dan Cohen Sherbach. He says, a Jew is a member of the Jewish community. The word is derived from the Latin Judaeus, which itself is from the Hebrew Yehuda, meaning Judah. Traditionally, Jewish identity is dependent on maternal descent or conversion to Judaism. The term is also used to denote ethnic origin without reference to religious observance. That's how I see it. I see you have two types of Jews. You have ethnic Jews, who could be atheist or anything, Buddhist or whatever. They can choose whatever religion they want, but they're ethnically Jewish. And then you have religious Jews, which can
Okay.
include ethnically Jewish people and non, like Sammy Davis Jr., I believe, converted to Judaism. But he's not ethnically Jewish. You're not ethnically Jewish and you converted. So you're
So-
Gerd Chav and Gerd Sadek.
Ethnic doesn't mean genetic. I mean, you could convert into clearly an ethnicity and join an ethnicity.
Well, look, Megillah 18a, it says
Anyone
that
who
the
shuns
rabbi-
idolatry is right,
is a
Jewish.
Jew. Anyone
Correct.
who repudiates idolatry is called a Jew.
Correct.
So you're familiar with that. So Gentiles who, let's say an ethnically Roman person who repudiated idolatry, Jews would consider him to be a Jew.
To understand this in context, first of all, this is not in the Bible. This is a statement in the Talmud
I know.
that refers to anyone who basically believes in our God. Because if someone just chooses not to follow idolatry but doesn't adopt the belief of the correct God, then he would be viewed worse within an idolater because he's a denier. There's this notion of kafira and avodah zorah. So kafira, which is atheism, is worse than idolatry. So,
Rabbi, do
only
you
because
believe that God is a Jew?
No, I don't.
Are you sure you are an Orthodox rabbi?
Yes, I am.
Well, if I bring another Orthodox rabbi, he will tell you you're wrong.
Well, then bring him.
This is the funny part about you. I mean, you guys in general, because you and the Muslims are carbon copy of each other.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying this, because you ask one Jew one thing, he gives you another one answer. You ask another Jew who's on the same level, he will gives you something contradicting. The Muslims are the same thing. You ask two Sunnis,
perhaps you should hear
whatever they feel is correct, and for them to go against you, they will
You're
say
describing Jews as quite stupid to walk around saying that they believe God is Jewish.
Well, I even heard worse. They say you God is a Jew and a Zionist.
Okay, well.
So who's right, who's wrong? And you all claim to be rabbinic Jews.
All right, so find me one source anywhere online where it says that God is Jewish.
Me? I don't believe in it to look for it to begin with it.
Okay, well, you're saying that it's so prevalent.
I rely on what you tell me.
No, this is a fully straw man argument.
So
I do know where we differ.
He just proved to you that a Roman can be considered a Jew.
No, he did not.
He just proved, DL just proved it to you.
No, it says that anyone who shuns idolatry. Idolatry means, in Hebrew, it doesn't mean to push away foreign gods. Avodah zarah,
bro, it doesn't make a difference worship. What it means.
Hold on one second. I'm going to translate what idolatry means.
He's still a Roman,
it doesn't mean the worship of statues.
Jew.
Okay, hang on, dude? Let him explain. Let him explain.
So, Avodah zarah is what people translate as idolatry, but it's a terrible translation because, yes, worshiping an idol, a statue, is a form of Avodah zarah. However, Avodah zarah means foreign service. That means if you're serving God incorrectly or not serving him at all, i.e. how he prescribed, you're considered an idolater. So it means that anyone who worships the God of Israel, that individual is under the notion of Jew. That's it. Why?
So why you said the God of Israel, you didn't say the God of Abraham?
Well, I mean, because that's what Jew means. Yehudi means one who worships God.
I asked you a question. You said who worship God of Israel. Why you said God of Israel, you did not say the God of Abraham. Are we talking about two different gods here?
The God of Israel is the same God of Abraham.
I believe in that. I know that. But that's
you have a chip on your shoulder.
You said the God of Israel. Why?
Perhaps you should calm down and take a breath.
You did God of Abraham.
I'm not your enemy here,
I never said.
But it seems like you're.
All right,
you sound agitated. You sound agitated.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.